Yup, we're not done yet, because we had ourselves one more big piece of Vancouver Canucks trade news that we needed to talk about, and it all comes to us in the form of The Athletic, because earlier today we had ourselves this piece published by Arthur Staple and Peter Bowe. New York Rangers trade targets, Igor Shesterkin's contract, here is what we're hearing. Now, of course, this article was published just a few hours before the Flyers ended up defeating the Rangers 3-1 today. It was published before the Canucks ended up playing off against the Buffalo Sabres. It was a pretty tight day, we can just say. Lots of games, lots of early games, and for some reason the schedule worked out the way it was, where Thanksgiving in the NFL, it really determined what the NHL decided to do for this upcoming weekend. But when it comes to these teams, New York, Vancouver, we have talked about them in trade ideas before. Now we're doing one more video, because this article goes out there and talks about some of the latest links. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to go ahead and read it yourself, but because it's The Athletic, because it's paid for material, we are not screenshotting the article itself. Instead, we're heading over onto CanucksDaily.com because Cooper Godine went out there and published a piece transcribing some of the comments made by Arthur Staple and Peter Bowe. Take a look at this article. Yeah, confirmed. Eastern Conference contender reportedly pursuing J.T. Miller. A league source said, according to Arthur Staple, the Rangers recently inquired with the Canucks about Miller, who is currently on an indefinite leave of absence. Miller was a 2011 first-round pick by the Rangers and has been coveted by Drury before. The Rangers were after Miller before the 21-22 trade deadline, but they would not include defenseman Braden Schneider in a deal. Miller then signed a 7-year extension worth $8 million a year, pulling him off the market, Staple said on Friday. Now, this is interesting. It's not anything new. We did make a whole bunch of videos about JT Miller and the Rangers and the Penguins and all these other teams back in 21-22. It was a really big deal back in that time frame, mostly because JT Miller did not have himself a contract extension, and he also scored 99 points that year. He was incredible. That was the first year where I think a lot of people started to take notice of Miller as like one of the more underrated and actually legitimate superstars in the league. Sure, he had the first 70-point year of his career playing in Vancouver in 2019-20, but that was kind of a surprise. A lot of people were like, oh, look at him. He's going out there and producing. Great. Can he continue? And then the season after, the COVID bubble hit and everybody was bad in Vancouver because the North Division sucked and Tyler Toffoli was getting hat tricks against the Canucks every single night. Miller had a great year in 21-22, though, when the initial trade conversations were starting up, and how the Rangers were apparently interested in grabbing back a guy that they drafted all the way back in 2011. Miller was drafted 15th overall by that team, and eventually found himself in Tampa Bay in that Ryan McDonagh trade that is all so infamous nowadays. But ultimately, JT Miller ended up going over to Tampa. He was okay. He was a middling forward, but he really started to do well in Vancouver, which is why the Rangers were interested in bringing him back. Power forward-like guy, solid leader on the ice, really motivated, always has his head in the game, at least when he's healthy. There are some moments where JT Miller would play lackadaisically and lazily, and that is definitely something Canucks fans would notice, but when Miller is on, he is legitimately one of the best players on the ice. 95% of the time he is out there. He has such a polished offensive game, he can score, he can play make, he makes really nice passes in tight, and when he threads the needle, it's one of the most beautiful things that you can see. It's just, for Miller, the way he moves and how he carries himself and just the skill set that he has, his tenacity, you don't really think of Miller as like a primary playmaker or a sniper. You don't think of him in the same offensive mold that you think of generally other players who get 100-plus point seasons in the NHL. Miller is a total, all-around, versatile power center who can do pretty much everything you need him to do. And so for the Rangers to grab somebody like that, yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense with their timeline. The ages all kind of line up here. It makes sense with their progression. A lot of people are questioning the work ethic and the tenacity of some of the top guys. Everybody loves to criticize Mika Zibanejad. I think the only real guys who are exempt from criticism this season in New York, you could say Artemi Panarin. I guess you could also say Will Cooley because he's been fantastic, oddly enough. Capo Caco, sure, but you could say he probably could use to be a bit better offensively. And then there are a few other guys as well. But realistically, the top guys, hey, Chris Kreider, what else does he do when he's not in the crease planting his butt down there and putting a tap in every few games? Mika Zibanejad, what's he doing when he's not getting those one-timers to go on the power play? I'm not saying that JT Miller is a one-stop shop to fix everything for the New York Rangers, but considering a lot of the controversy and a lot of people's discussions about guys like Kreider and Trouba and the trade updates with each of these guys, considering all that, yeah, okay, they want to go out there and get some top-tier forwards. Makes sense. It's just really interesting to me that Miller is the guy that they are checking in on. I mean, it probably makes sense, I guess. Like, okay, a guy's taking an indefinite leave of absence. You want to at least check in, right? You want to see what the market says about this guy. Even if the Rangers call up Patrick Allvin and they're like, hey, what's Miller cost? Is he okay? Can we get him? And Allvin's like, no, sorry, he's just taking a leave of absence. He's going to be okay and he'll be back and he's not for sale. Even if it's just like that, then okay, like you checked in, you did your due diligence, that could very well just be the update here. Obviously, we don't have any other details other than what Staple ended up writing about, but if that's the case, then it's like, okay, yeah, they just checked in, see what he's about, and that's that. No trade. At the end of the day, though, it is noteworthy to me that the Rangers did go snooping their noses around Patrick Allvin and his goons in JT Miller being like, yeah, we want to explore this trade conversation again. What's the price here? Only for the Canucks to probably shut it down and just say that they're not interested in trading JT away, which of course is not surprising to any Vancouver Canucks fan considering the state of the team. Everybody's still kind of in that limbo, you know, that what can happen with this Vancouver Canucks squad when you consider the fact that there hasn't really been a moment this season where everybody is fully at their peak and everybody's healthy. When JT Miller and Thatcher Demko are fully back and they're good to go, when Brock Besser is fully settled back in, when Dakota Joshua is fully settled back in, and Filip Hronek is back too, then I think we can start to fully define what the Vancouver Canucks are as a hockey team in 2024-2025. This season, though, up to this point, has not had that opportunity in the slightest, because everybody's getting hurt, everybody's leaving, everybody's not playing their best, so, you know, at some point we gotta wait and see. And only then will I think it'll be appropriate for the Vancouver Canucks to make any drastic decisions with some of the core guys on their team, whether or not they want to keep around a guy like JT, which I guess they have no choice but to do that. I mean, he's so good, right? JT is a fantastic hockey player. However, if he were to be sent over to a team like the New York Rangers, obviously he would go over as a much different player than the one that he was back when he got traded from the Rangers in the first place. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this other Canucks trade update here, how the Rangers were checking in with Vancouver on what JT Miller's price tag would have been. It seems like the Canucks did not bite, and they didn't end up entertaining the trade idea at all, but the fact that it was mentioned warrants making a video about it. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this Ranger stuff. Both articles, the Athletic article as well as the Canucks Daily article, will be linked in the description below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.